G'day folks, Links here, and welcome back to Greg Take New Horizons. So this is going to be a bit of a weird one because I've tried to record this about 4 times, and things just keep getting in the way and whatnot. So I've just been having a bit of downtime over the last few days, just sorting some chores in the world, trying and failing to record this video, and just optimizing a few bits here and there. So I spent a lot of time optimizing the autocrafting patterns over here to take more advantage of the parallels that I get from these machines. The blast furnaces are now running at LUV. So we've just double IV energy hatches, which has been a really nice speed up. I've not bothered overclocking these ones because I only use these ones to make bulls and a couple of other things, and they're not that busy. And I've not bothered with the vacuum freezers either because they're plenty fast enough for now. And I have also been doing some B stuff. I was trying to get the Cenarium B, and then I realized the Cenarium B is gated behind LUV because it needs superconducting. It needs a superconducting coil as its foundation block to breed it. But I have got everything I need to breed it. So once we get into LUV, we can do Cenarium. We can do the Cenarium B. But for now, I just had to get some Cenarium for my current project. I just did it the really slow way with UU matter, because I have UU matter from crops. It's just the actual autoclave recipe is very slow. So the other thing I've been working on is I decided that I wanted to actually give universal automation a try. It's something that I've been looking at for a bit. I've heard about it a lot on GTNH Discord and whatnot, and I kind of steer clear of it initially because I thought, it's just, it's a bit too complicated, etc. And I was kind of happy with what I had. I tend to just suboptimally fumble along, and then I'll really only start going and looking for resources if I feel like, that I'm objectively doing something, suboptimal. In this case, I was spamming an LCR for each thing, and I was like, yeah, this isn't going to scale all that well. So these LCRs are actually all empty now. The interfaces are all empty. I just need to tear them down. So what I ended up doing was I decided to just give universal chemical reactors a go, and I love it. I'm a total convert to universal automation now. It's really, really good. So I watched a video from a fellow GTNH player called 9, or IX is the Discord name. Really good tutorial. I will be linking it in the video description. It'll explain it a lot better than I ever will. But basically, the overall aim is to maximize the number of patterns that we can get into a small group of machines, and also to parallelize recipes across machines. So I've left room for 2 more LCRs. These are also running at LUV. The others over there were running at IV. So because we will need LUV chemical reactors soon enough. And the perfect overclock. There's no reason not to, because of perfect overclocks. And I also did a universal mixer because I had this sort of horrible abomination. I've taken all the interfaces off it now. But I had this horrible abomination in an attempt to squeeze everything into one mixer. So I need to take that down and move it over here to get 2 mixers, and then I need to take some of the LCRs from over there and move them over here, and we'll get parallelized. We'll get more parallelization. So, but the really general gist is that basically you put these are the mainnet interfaces with the patterns in them. We use normal interfaces, so the fluids are treated as items rather than fluids, and we then have a interface on a subnet with an advanced blocking card, and basically when we need more patterns, we'll just stack so this green cable represents where more interfaces would be when we eventually stack them. And then what happens is when a recipe goes in, it gets put into the drive. It's put into one of these storage cells, which is then extracted, sent into the baby chest. One of these baby chests is pulled by the item importer into an I/O port. The I/O port then deposits the contents of the cell into the hatch and bus. Basically, you want to use the biggest hatch and bus you can, so then you can make the patterns really big. So the biggest I can make right now is a super bus LV, which is 32 stacks, and a quadruple input hatch IV, which will hold 4 fluids, but it'll only hold 64 buckets of each fluid. To actually get the fluids, there's a fluid packet decoder. So what happens is the fluids come in as items called fluid packets. They go into the fluid packet decoder, which turns them back into a fluid and then sends them into here, into this fluid storage bus. And to stop the fluid packets from ending up in the input bus, we have a fuzzy card with an inverter to make sure that fluid packets never enter the bus. Fluid packets can only enter here. Can only enter this this storage bus, which also has a fuzzy card. When the recipe's finished, the non-consumables left in the hatch, like circuits or molds, will be sucked back into a cell by this I/O port, and then when the cell matches the so basically the filters on this conduit have this cell with just the non-consumable item. So in this case, it's a cell with just a circuit 4 in it. So once the I/O port contains a cell with just the non-consumable items, it's then pulled back out and sent back into its respective ME drive. So yeah, really, that's a really rough explanation. Nine's video does it a lot better. He also has a custom animation at the end as well, which explains it quite well. But if I just quickly try and craft something, so I don't know, if we try and craft, say, Certus quartz, and we try and craft, how much? 192. So if we try and craft 192 Certus quartz, we will see it goes into here and then done. So it's really good with LCRs because they are so fast, because of the perfect overclocks. You know, we will get to a point where there's a lot of recipes that'll be done in one tick, which will be awesome. One caveat for anyone playing GTNH 2.8. So this is the sort of current universal design. I believe the smart people behind it are actually working on a new design. Which I think they're sort of planning to kind of release a guide on when 2.8 actually goes, stable. But basically in 2.8, the devs changed the default update time for machine controller covers down to 1 tick. So you need to bump it back up to 5 ticks. And same with the covers, the cover on the bus. Make sure that's 5 ticks. I've noticed that the default for this hasn't changed, but they can go down to 1 tick, so it's entirely possible the default could change at some point. So it's worth making sure that it's 5 ticks. And I believe if you're on 2.7 and update to 2.8, and you've left it at the default 5 ticks, I think the code will actually drop it down to 1 tick. So it's worth. So if you update from 2.7 to 2.8, it is actually worth checking your setups to make sure they still work. I did have some clogging issues with multiple recipes being shoved into the same cell, as in multiple iterations of the same recipe being shoved into the cell, into a single cell, which was causing blockages with any recipes that contain fluids. That's why the advanced blocking card is in there. So basically, the advanced blocking card ensures that this interface can only push 1 recipe at a time in. Again, there are better explanations of the advanced blocking card. But yeah, so basically the first 3 machines that you really want universal for are the annoying machines. So LCRs and mixers. And the next annoyance that we have is actually assemblers. This area is a nightmare. I want to get rid of it. I want all this to go. So we have... when I was recording yesterday, I was attempting to actually get all the infrastructure set up for the precise auto-assembler. But unfortunately, I ended up having to abandon that recording. But basically, the highlights are I had to get some Naquita, which luckily I had a stack of Naquita ore from a IV loot bag, from an enchanted IV loot bag, or a series of IV loot bags over the last 3 months or whatever. And so that was just enough for me to scrape by, because each Naquita ball, silicon ball, only requires a single ingot. And basically, there's a really inefficient recipe where you can burn 2 oxide dust to get 1 ingot. So that was probably the biggest highlight. Otherwise, it's just a massive, massive, massive resource hog. At least at this point. So I think this, I believe, is the reason why I had to overclock the blast furnaces to LUV in order to get this material, and also to get osmiridium as well, in order to get osmiridium ingots. So what we're going to do today, and this is why it's going to be a bit of a weird one, because in my downtime, I've been sort of edging towards various points of progression. So we're not far away from the T3 rocket. We just need the rocket fuel. We actually, with this universal setup done, we can probably craft PBI. And with PBI, we will have all the bits we need to do advanced SMDs, which will actually make some circuits faster and cheaper. So because the advanced SMD recipes for, say, EV circuits actually halve the time that the recipe takes. So I think what we're going to do in this video is we're basically going to get the precise auto assembler set up. So get a universal precise auto assembler set up, which I've made a start on. So I'm going to build this lengthways, because I think it would look really cool if I built this lengthways, and then basically this is 11 wide, or would be 11 wide, with bits on the end. But the precise auto assembler is actually 9 wide, so it would be like that, essentially. I've not counted it out, but I think that's basically what it would look like. So I think it would look unlike what I've done here. I reckon it would look cooler if I did this in lengthways for the precise auto assembler, and then basically I'll just have one precise assembler for now. And I may not even need to scale beyond that for quite a while, because even with maximum tier casings, you get 256 parallels when running in normal mode. In terms of so this will do normal assembler recipes when you run it in normal mode. We will build a second one later on to run precise mode recipes. There's only like 15 precise mode recipes in the whole pack, and they are all really quick. Most of them are 5 seconds. There's like one that's 100 seconds, and the rest are all like 5 seconds. So we only need one precise assembler in precise mode, for at least from what I can see. So I'll probably just shove it over there or something with all the generic auto crafting stuff, because precise recipes don't use circuits either, so they don't really need to be universal. And again, because there's only 15 of them, you could actually get away with a single ME interface with just a single pattern card in it, because that would give you 18 patterns. But we don't need to look at that until the Naquita line. I think it's the first time we need to do precise assembly recipes to make the neutron activator. So without further ado, I'm going to finish getting this platform laid out, and then we will start building the precise auto assembler, and we'll get some universal assembly up and running. So what I'll probably do is I'll get the multi-block built, because you don't want to see me build a multi-block. So I'll get the multi-block built, and then after that I will come back and we'll look at the universal setup for it. Because this was like literally from the tutorial. Like this exact layout was from the tutorial. Obviously different multi-block shapes, different controller positions, etc. Are gonna make things easier or harder depending on the multi-block. I think the fluid solidifier is potentially a bit of a harder one to set up, which we will have to do at some point. So basically what I'll do is I'll get all the bare bone bits done, get the actual multi-block assembled, and then we'll come back and actually look at making it universal. And then we'll go from there. So I will see you guys in a bit. Right, we are back. So I have a very, very, very skeleton setup. almost all plugged in. I just need to set up I just need to link the P2P tunnels, which I can actually do because I think I've already got them set up on the other side. So we want you. Yeah, so universal assembler number 1 and universal assembler number 2. So those are linked now, which means this will start getting power as well. I've only set up the circuit 1 and circuit 2 for now. I haven't filled all the other cells yet, but I have built the precise assembler. It's a fairly nice looking multi-block. The only thing that's really annoying is these casings. This is the biggest thing I've ever built in terms of resources so far in the pack. This thing just ate resources. It needs a load of rhodium, osmiridium, tiny bit of naquita for the controller block. It's yeah, big. And I've made a start on the universal setup. I did for some reason think that this was going to be a bit more annoying to set up compared to other compared to the multi-blocks over there, but I have actually realized it's basically the same setup because I've got enough space here on the side to do the universal setup. So what we're going to do is I have a chest full of all of the bits. I crafted these. I double crafted those by accident because I didn't realize they would have already been in, or I forgot they would have already been in the chest. We also probably want some more conduits if I have any. Yep. I shouldn't need item filters anymore. I think I've put item filters in all the conduits already. Basically, we'll just fill these gaps in, so then that's done, and then I can hook these all up. So we'll go this way down because the universal setup's going to be over there. But yeah, I just filled up the circuit 1 and 2s for now, just because it's easier. Because for a lot of the others, I'm doing sharing, so I'm sharing circuits, 0, 14, 18, 22 in that one. We can probably do. I have crafted all the cells. They're all in my inventory here, and I have crafted the circuits as well, I think. Yeah. So what we can do is actually there's a fair amount of single circuit things, but yeah. So in theory, this should cover everything that I've got over there. I do have some interfaces that are current. These interfaces will remain empty. They're just spares in case I realize I need more circuit IDs, because I think for the assembler there is actually quite a lot of conflicting circuits. So we do need to actually sort of think about things. So if I just come back over here and remind myself, so it's basically cool. I've built it a handful of times, but I still have to kind of remind myself. So that goes there, and we set it to transfer network to cell, and set it to put in the output when work is done. We then put an item importer on the top, and I always forget which way around these go. It's the brown bit at the top. So that is actually facing the right way. And then we do another MEIO port. This basically stays as is, so we don't have to change anything on that one. And then we put that one there, and we put the baby chest on top. And then we just put a conduit on. So one thing I need to check, I don't think it'll be an issue, but I have the ME output bus here, and I have the controller block, the controller cover. That's actually quite interesting, because when I put the controller cover on this, the whole block went invisible, and the only thing you could see was this screen on the front. The rest of the textures went away. I have seen in the beta testing chat that there is a bit of a glitch with the precise auto assembler where the controller just goes invisible. I wonder if it's just sort of temporary and it comes back after a bit. after you know, maybe move far enough away from it and it gets and it stops getting rendered. But yeah, so we should be able to do the not gate goes there, which rotate it, which means that goes there, and then we need the strip, which goes there, and then we have the timer, which I think, yep, that's the right way, and then we have the repeater, and we turn it that way. Oh, I haven't actually remembered to set the ticks on the machine controller to 5. There we go. So yeah, voltage limited by casing tier, LUV. So I used LUV casings, and I am overclocking it to LUV with dual energy hatches, dual IV energy hatches, but it will still only be able to run IV recipes, at least as I understand it, from the description. So we put you there, and we set you to 0.6 seconds. And I do realize that that is going to be making noise, so I will move away from it until we get a muffler upgrade, which apparently I don't have patterns for red alloy rods. Get rid of that. We do 32. Please tell me I've got a slot. I do. Right. So if we just quickly grab that. Should only take a sec to craft. Because I don't want you having to listen to the constant, incessant ticking of the timer. So if we... There we go. So we just grab that, and then... but yeah, I am really looking forward to this. This is probably... This is a really nice upgrade. I'm just going to put it there. So this will be a really nice upgrade to our speed. So in theory, the principle is still the same. I still have the covers on the hatch and the bus, but the redstone signal they're emitting will get carried down here and over here into the controller. I feel like that's it. So we insert on cyan, and we don't extract. And we put you down there, and you extract on black. And then that comes up. We disconnect that one. And then I have the cable going through the floor to receive power. Oh, there is a loop. I don't think that's an issue. Yeah, I'm not sure that's actually an issue. Doesn't look like it. I think AE is actually somewhat smart about stuff like that, but I can always fix it later if need be. So we just need to bring over, because all we need over here is connection for that. So if we just basically we just bring it over like this. Oh, bring it over like that. If I can click. And then we also just need a quartz fiber connection here. Do I have a quartz fiber? No. And then this will be, and then the subnet will be powered. Yep, and I've got all of my filters set up properly. So that is fuzzy card, inverter card, and fluid packet. That is fuzzy card, and that is just nothing. And the cover I've set to an item threshold of 5 because one of the ME interfaces is sharing 5 circuits. I can't remember which one it is. Sorry, it's sharing 4 circuits. So we want the threshold to be above the number of non-consumables. At least that's my understanding, and it's worked so far. So yeah, so basically, in theory, I think this should actually work. Oh, disconnect that one. I think this should actually work. I just need to connect it over to here. So what we'll do is we'll actually bring this over this way, because then when I eventually put a drive here, which I may or may not do, it depends on whether I need that interface or not. But if I do this, then we should be good. I'm wondering if that's it. So if I turn you, yeah, so you're fine now. So what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to request something really, really simple. So if we just go grab something out of one of our Circuit 1 assemblers, we really just want something simple. So maybe a item conduit speed upgrade. I have advanced blocking cards in all the interfaces. So this is the Universal Assembler 1 interface. And there is an advanced blocking... Oh, I've not enabled blocking mode on all of them, though. That's something I missed. So let's get blocking mode on these. And then... let's make sure we have blocking mode on all of the things. And then what I'm hoping is if I do a speed upgrade, it should, hopefully, end up in here. Maybe. So it is in there, which means it is in the... means it is in there, but we're not getting a redstone signal. Oh, because the pattern size is too small. I'll change it to 2 for now. Which hasn't... oh, hang on. That should be... that's still not getting turned on. I wonder if I have to, on this block, actually set it to emit a strong signal, because hatches don't pass signals. After soldering iron. So I think I might actually have to... I think the hatch might be blocking the signal. So if we do that, that does not appear to be working. I think what I might do then is if I actually grab the controller cover and I shove it... oh, it's done it again. I shove it there instead, and then with redstone safe mode. Oh, it lost power. It tried to run the recipe and lost power. Oh, it's because I've not plugged it in. Yeah, it's because I've not plugged it in. There we go. Right, so now it should work. But if we... so that now has a power. That now has 0, which is... yeah, to return the cell back to the thing, hasn't it? Yep. So if we do this instead, I'm hoping this will work. I'm hoping this will work. So if we... so what I might do is we'll set this back to 5, and is there any Circuit 1 recipe that's actually a bit more complicated? That will have more than 5 items? What have we got in here? Oh yeah, there we go. We could just do one of the coils. Yeah, we'll just do that. That'll be a really quick... that should be a really quick craft because it's MP. So if we shove that in here, and then we try and craft it. Yep, we try and craft it. And we see if it does it. So it's in there. That's really weird. Why is that? Oh no, there we go. So it is giving off a signal, it's just not actually working. Oh, there we go. Yeah, there we go. Hey, look. So let's do a big, let's do something with, let's parallelize something. Yeah, what, let's just make six. So we will get, I believe it's, where is it? Oh, that's intriguing. When you scan the, yeah, when you scan the precise assembler, because when you scan other multi-blocks, it tells you how many parallels they'll do, but this doesn't appear to, which is interesting. So what we're going to do is we will actually, let's parallelize this to, I think it'll do 16 at the moment. So if we just change this to do 16, and then we shove it back in, and then we set it going, do me 16, and it should come in any minute now. There it is. Oh, that's awesome. So there we go, we have a universal assembler. I need to obviously get all the other drive bays filled and actually wall this up so it looks less hideous. But yeah, we have a universal assembler. So what this... So this is a really nice leap forward, not necessarily in terms of progression, because we won't be using this in precise mode. We'll build a second one for precise mode. But it is a really nice... it is a really nice milestone in terms of infrastructure, because we can get rid of all of these assemblers over here now. So next video, they will be gone. They will not be there. Those LCRs and that mixer will also be gone, because I will do a tidy up. But we will do a piece of progression. I want to see if we can craft PBI. And of course, it's not called that. It's called poly... I'm not even going to try and pronounce it. So in theory, I should be able to craft this in the universal setup. We're just missing nitration mixture, which is made in a mixer. So it's just nitric acid and sulfuric acid. So if we add this to our universal mixer, and we do 40, can we do 48? Yeah, we can. So actually, no, we should just fill the hatches. So do that. Rather than matching the parallels, we'll just fill the hatches. So that would be that, essentially. So if we shove this in our universal mixer, can we now make PBI? Yes, apparently. So what I want to do, though, is making fluid PBI is not really all that fun, is it? So we will make... I believe there is a PBI skip quest. So if we have... I think it's 256 sheets. So if we... So what we'll do is we will do this. Take that out of my hand. So we will make this, and we will just parallelize it to... Let's do 64 at a time, which should be fine. So if we just do fluid solidifier plate, shove that in there, and then what we should be able to do is we should actually be able to request this. And I've not tested this, so I'm hoping it works. We'll cancel that. That's the craft that we... that was the speed thing that we accidentally voided. So if we do this, can we get PBI? Oh, we're getting it. What are we... Oh yeah, no, we're getting... Yep, there we go. So we've got all of the nitration mixture. We're now just waiting. I think the bottleneck, because I'm fairly sure that the bottleneck will probably be... Actually, no, they are just a bit slow. Some of these recipes, 6.3 seconds. But yeah, if we build 2 more LCRs, then obviously we'll have... But this is the awesome thing about Universal. You know, there we go. We have parallelization of two machines. We have the recipe being parallelized across two machines, and if I add the other two LCRs, that'll become 4. But if we go back here, so we are now just waiting for the dichlorobenzidine. Look at that, come on. We're almost there. We're going to have PBI in a sec, I think. And this is progression. This will allow us to... It allows us to make a few things more efficiently, like carbon fibers, for example. I believe it's also needed in LUV. I could be wrong. But it also allows us to make advanced SMDs, which will literally... I think that might be actually how we end the episode, is we will craft some advanced SMDs. Hopefully. So what's that? That's being made in the... Yeah, so again, I think it's just a bit slow. It's a 6.3 second recipe, so it's just a bit slow. But again, if we get everything parallelized, then we should be good. Because it is only able to feed in 2 recipes worth at a time. Now, this is the interesting one. Is it actually doing stuff? It is. Yeah, there we go. It's actually making... Oh, I haven't accidentally... have I accidentally... Which recipe is PBI? I just want to make sure I've not accidentally patterned the... So it's a circuit 0, apparently. Is it? Yeah. Oh, yeah, cool. I've not patterned the byproduct, so that's fine. So if we go back here... Do we... Oh, we have it. So, it only made 64. I don't think this will trigger the skip, though. I think the skip is 256. So if we do... But I've made more than... So if we do 192... Yeah, there is... So we'll let that craft, because this is going to take, as you no doubt saw, this is going to take a few minutes. But we do actually now have, PBI, and I think this is, aside from, this is very different to say Nomi Factory, where I would have just passived the whole line. That's definitely something that I'm getting used to in GTNH, is just crafting this stuff on demand. I felt so good after I moved my polyethylene, PVC, and PTFE lines to be to just be on-demand crafted. It was so much that, you know, they were still really fast, and it was just so much less pain. But yeah, I think the big problem with this is I just need to add more LCRs. So if I add 2 more, that'll be 4 LUV LCRs, and I think that'll be more than enough for the moment. But yeah, we just need to get this. And the interesting thing is, I don't know if the phenol in PBI is actually a loop or not. Because it does need... Yeah, because it needs... Because this is made with phenol. I don't know if it's a loop or not, though. Because it might actually be a loop. I might get the phenol back. Which is... I mean, it's not really an issue, because I'm getting phenol from... not down there, actually, because I'm not exporting it from that network back to mainnet. My source of phenol is actually still the old benzene setup down there. But we're looking really sweet, so we're definitely not far off. Hopefully getting... If we don't trigger the skip by getting the 256 sheets, I'm fairly sure there is a PBI skip. I'd have to go look at the wiki. But if there isn't, then I'll just complete the individual automation. I'll just complete the individual tasks off camera. But we should be getting 140, 192. There we go. Trigger PBI skip. Look at that. We now have PBI. That's awesome. That feels really good. The fact that we now have PBI and also the universal assembler. I just realized we can't... we don't have a circuit 6 set up. or we don't have drives set up for a circuit 6. So I will... so what I'll quickly do is I'll just go quickly fill up a drive for circuit 6, and then we will craft our first advanced SMD, and then, or our first advanced SMDs, and then I think that's where we'll leave it for now, and then I think that's where we'll leave it and end the episode. So I'll see you guys in a few minutes. And we're back. Right, so I've patented advanced SMDs, and advanced SMD resistor. I've not done all of them. They're all, basically the same, just different ingredients. So I've patented the advanced SMD resistor. So what I'll do is just, I don't think it'll be fast enough that we'll miss it, but I'll do it down here anyway. So if we just do SMD, advanced SMD resistor, and this will craft 64, and we just wait and see if here it is. That's awesome. I don't know, does this get us a quest? We have to... I don't know where the advanced SMDs quest is. It's definitely somewhere. It could be in LUV, actually. Or is it in EV? I'll have to find the quest. I'm not entirely sure where it is. But it could just be me being blind. So, but yeah, so that is really, really, really good. That's some progression, because we can make some cheaper circuits, but we'll also need advanced SMDs at some point. PBI, which we will be needing soonish, I presume. And we now have our universal assembler, so we can get rid of all the horrible single blocks over there. The only time we'll have to craft single blocks is when we get into a new tier, in order to make that tier's energy hatch, so then we can upgrade this one. But even that goes away once we get the large scale auto assembler, but we can't get that until ZPM. We need the ZPM energy hatch for that. But yeah, so if you've stuck with it this far, thank you very much for watching, and I hope you all have a lovely day, and I will see you later, hopefully for some blast furnace shenanigans, because we really need to get those upgraded. Anyway, have a good one, everyone.